There may still be 2 feet of snow outside right now, but baseball is back, and Todd Introdonato might have his best roster coming up for Boston College.
You are Locked On Boston College, your daily podcast on the Boston College Eagles. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is Locked On Boston College. I'm your host, AJ Black of Eagle Insider, part of the 247 Network. I've been covering Boston College for over a decade. If you're looking for Boston College news, analysis, and details on your Eagles, you are in the right place. On today's show, Bird Ball is back. It's freezing outside right now, but baseball is ready to head to Puerto Rico for a big tournament this weekend. Can BC get themselves over the hump and into the tournament? They have the roster to do it, and I'll explain why in just a moment. Now, BC baseball is in year 3 under Todd Introdonato. Last year was a step in the right direction, but they still need to continue to grow if they want to make the NCAA tournament. Now, I love what they did with their roster this year. Let's start it off with that. Todd Introdonato, when he was really having his good runs at Wofford, the big thing about his rosters was their ability to run all over the place. They were very, very aggressive on the base path, stealing, stretching a single to a double, things like that. And, he's been building that roster back to that style. And this is the first year. And a lot of times when you see this with any sport, year 3 is the year when his guys are here. You look at the roster BC baseball has, and for the first time ever, you look up and down that roster, almost every guy on this team has wheels. You have guys that they brought in who I feel could be really good in terms of speed. Ty Manalfi from Dayton, he hit 381 in spring summer ball. Then you have guys like Jorge Soler from Springfield and Sean Martinez. These guys, he had 27 stolen bases in the summer league. Like all these guys that they're bringing in all have a ton of stolen bases. So this is what you need. I like this. I honestly think this is the perfect style of baseball for Boston College, because speed is not hard to find as long as they can get on base. Like, it doesn't help if you have a speed guy who can't get on base, but getting good hitters who can get on base like that is much more efficient than getting power bats. And BC does have power bats. You get Nick Wang back and Kyle Wolf. These guys can still bang, but you now have rosters that are going to try to make life very difficult for opposing pitchers. And for that, I think that's a good sign for BC. I love that. And then on top of all that, you look at the pitching staff. You got AJ Colarusso, who last year, first of all, he was a second team All ACC by some previews. He pitched 42 in a third season last year and a 3.4 ERA. So he can be your ace. You have an ace. And this is a guy that looked great down the stretch last year for BC. When they started to make that late run, it was Colarusso that really looked really good. You added him. You have Brady Miller. He's a 6'5" left-handed pitcher from Harwich, who had a 2.03 ERA over his last 40 innings of work, throwing 7 shutout innings against Miami late in the season in the Super Regionals. So you've got 2 good pitchers that you can roll out every weekend, and you got to love that. Like, you've got some decent pitching here. You like what you got there. And then you look at your bullpen. And the big name that you're looking at in your bullpen is Gavin Soares. Gavin Soares is a name that I feel is going to be a big-time name for you. This is a guy that's taking over for Joey Ryan, who was, basically your big-time reliever last year. D1 Baseball has him as the 3rd-ranked ACC reliever in the entire conference. So you have good talent in your back end too, in terms of your bullpen. Now, the big thing that you need for BC, you're playing a tough out-of-conference schedule, first of all. You're playing you play your series against UConn. UConn, credit to them, are always really good. You have games against Northwestern. You're playing Houston, Washington, Florida Gulf Coast, obviously the Florida schools, FIU as well. The FIU schools the Florida schools are always really good, right? And then you go on to your ACC school. They need to play well out of conference, and then they need to play 500 baseball. If you can play 500 baseball in ACC play, you can make the NCAA tournament. I look at this roster. I look at what Todd Donato did, and I'm excited. Like, I'm excited to watch this team. There's a lot of talent here. He's done a nice job of evaluating players and getting lower level guys that have produced, from, as I said, St. Peter's and Dayton, that could be really good here. And I could see this team exceeding expectations and making the NCAA tournament. BC should be a team that does that every once in a while. It's not the hardest thing to do. But BC, back in the times of Gambino, there would be a couple years where things would flip on. And with Donato having some solid pitching, both in the starting rotation and in the bullpen, along with a lineup that is perfectly tailored for his style of baseball, I could see this team doing more. And really, as what he does well, being a complete nuisance to some of these, blue blood teams, for the Miamis, the UNCs, the Wake Forest. Like, if they can get on base and really cause havoc, they're going to win some baseball games. So I think this is going to be a fun season. I don't expect this to be a step back. And really seeing Todd Donato kind of starting to come into his own in the ACC, like having his roster, having this team really developing into the way that he wanted it to be. Gambino had his style. Donato is going to have his style, and he's done a nice job, I think, in dealing with transfers, bringing in talented freshmen to get this team in the right spot. So the first game this weekend is in Puerto Rico. They have 3 games. They start off the weekend against Seton Hall. Now, last year, Seton Hall it was in the Big East, and I don't think that's going to be they were 5th in their conference. They were preseason 5th, excuse me. And they have starting pitcher Steven Svensson, who's really good. If you want to watch, that's on Friday at 7:30 on Victory Sports Plus. If you go to victoryplus.com, I don't know what that is, but you can find it there. Saturday, they play Houston at 1 p.m. And Houston has pretty low expectations this year. It's not a team that I think is going to be super good, but any team, any game, they can possibly win, right? And then Sunday at 7:30, all of these games are on Victory Sports Plus. They play the Washington Huskies, who did pretty well last year in the Big Ten. So they're they're probably going to be BC's toughest game in this Puerto Rico series. The Puerto Rico Challenge, excuse me, is what it's called. So these are the 3 teams. It would be great for BC to start this season off winning 2 of them, going 2-1 in this series. Maybe you drop to Washington. Hey, if they could sweep it, that would be even sweeter. But 2 wins, if you can escape Puerto Rico with 2 wins, that's a good start for Boston College. Now, I think more people need to be following BC baseball. It's a good, well put together program. We'll have to see how things develop there. Thank you all for following. You can follow me on. Before we go, I forgot. Getting used to these shows. I want to tell you about Indeed. Indeed isn't just about hiring someone willing to take a job. It's about finding the right person with the right background who can actually help your business moving forward. And if you want candidates who match what you're looking for, Indeed sponsored jobs is the move, because instead of hoping the right person stumbles across your post, Indeed helps you find matched candidates, boosting your job to the people who fit your criteria. You don't want people who can just do the job. You want someone who can help right away. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours have 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check off all the boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. So now that we've wrapped things up, thank you all for joining us here at Locked On BC. We'll be back again tomorrow with, again, 2 more shows. I hope you join us, and we'll see you again soon for another episode of Locked On Boston College. Your team every day.